and welcome to Give Me Something, a show that's going to get Joey and I in enormous trouble throughout the course of the season. It was a great start, a lot of fun last week, and we're back again, Joey.
We are back again. We did well last week. Not as confident this week as I was last week, but we'll see how we go.
I had a look through the review of the show, of your performance.
Some
peer feedback. Yeah. You killed it with Gawn to bounce back. He was terrific. He was your absolute. The Pies could start 0-2. You got that one right. And Zorko to half-back. Now, Fags tried his hardest to hold him out of there, but he had to give up in the last quarter.
Took till three-quarter time. We finally got him there. And you did pretty good as well. Liam Jones, a bit stiff. He got sent back to full-back to play on Bailey Fritsch. You thought he'd take 10 intercept marks, although he did save their bacon a number of times. What else did you have?
I had the Hawks to give Essendon a scare, or they were my roughie.
That's good.
They were very good. And I pleaded with Fremantle to not play boring footy. And I think Bucks took me too seriously. I think he may have taken me too seriously. But it was a good game to watch, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. They were great, and we had some good results on the weekend, and we're going to try and go at it again. So you demanded that Justin Longmuir play a bit more exciting and adventurous football. You got that. Who are you putting the heat on this week? What's your absolute?
The two smalls. My absolute is Rankin and Rochelle need to get involved earlier in the game. They were terrific last week when the game was there to be won up at the Gold Coast, but in a lot of ways it was too little too late. They kicked 5 of the 8 goals. I'm not having a go at them in terms of their performance, but we all have got this expectation that Isaac Rankin's going to be a top liner, a star in our competition, and that's not kicking 30 to 35 goals. That's getting up around the Toby Green sort of areas, 50 plus. So I think he's got that capability. Rochelle, he played half a game last week and was so good. When he was invested and alert in the game, he was terrific. They've got to win games at home, the Crows, because we know they've been poor on the road. They've got a light type in Geelong. It's a game they just absolutely have to win. Tex will be back, so the focal point is a lot more predictable. Those younger kids just couldn't quite get it done last week. So I'm asking these two to be the difference against the Cats this week.
Righto. The Wizards of South Oz, time to step up.
Your boys, the Wizards, we like them. R&R, a bit of R&R at the Adelaide Oval.
All right.
What are you going with your absolute?
My absolute is that I think the Bombers midfield will get a reality check this Saturday night.
Oh, no.
So they copped a lot of flowers this week. They got a lot of pats on the back, and fair enough. They were very good against a Hawthorn midfield. Archie Perkins was in there, Sam Durham and Zach Merritt and Todd Goldstein and co. They were very good. But they are coming up against the Sydney Swans midfield that are airborne. When you talk about Isaac Heaney, Chad Warner, Errol Goulden, throw in Rowbottom, who is a tackling machine, and Brodie Grundy, it is going to be a different kettle of fish for this Essendon midfield. So they would want to step it up as good as they were last week against the Hawks. They want to step it up to another level. Otherwise, they will be on the end of what Sydney have dished up to a couple of teams already in Melbourne and Collingwood and give them the same result. So the Swans are flying. Essendon might just be a bit of a comeback down to earth.
They've always gone pretty well up there, though. They've had some close games with the Swans, and weird things happen. Yeah. Weird things happen when these two come together.
What about your possible then?
Well, I don't know whether you can have a throwback to the past, but do you know who Mr. Bean is?
I know Mr. Bean.
Well, there's an episode of Mr. Bean where he just drives down the streets of, I think it's Hollywood, giving everyone the birds, right? I think that's going to be Bevo coming out down the Western Highway after Aaron Norton kicks 5 and he says, I told you blokes, where's that Montagna? There you are. Where's Brereton? Where's King? I know where he needs to be played, and he's my gun full forward / centre half forward, and I know that Jamara's playing good footy, but we need him to deliver goals in Ballarat. He's only kicked 7 goals the last 4 times they've played there. Ballard's done really well against him in the past, so it's a big challenge for Aaron. But I just get the feeling that Bevo has got a little bite back in him. And we know he likes to bite. We all know that.
He's a fighter.
He'll be
street fighter.
I can see him hanging out the window on the way. But he might even have the sunroof. He'd have a sunroof, Bevo.
Yeah.
He'll be out the sunroof on the way home. Can you see it now?
I can, actually. And he might just grow the handlebar moustache back again.
He might.
Business.
What do you got for your possibility?
Well, possibly, I said last week the Pies could possibly go zipping 2. I don't want to say possibly zipping 3. So I don't want to upset the Pies fans too much.
Don't do it.
So I'm not going to do it. But I think it's possible that Max King puts on one hell of a performance. This is a massive game for St Kilda. Their biggest home and away game of the year, Spuds match. He almost ripped the game apart for St Kilda. He kicked 2 goals for. He had some moments, and it was almost there for Max King to win that game they probably didn't deserve to win. I can see it potentially happening on Thursday night. One of the best games of his career. He's kicked 6 a couple of times against a vulnerable Collingwood defence at the moment. But there's an opportunity there to announce himself on the biggest stage. I know he's played some great games and he's almost announced himself, but the Saints fans are just waiting for him to grab this club by the scruff of the neck and say, come with me, boys. This could be the game on Thursday night.
He's
it's
a
possible.
little bit higher up the field at the moment.
He did against the Cats. I wonder whether, because there was so much ball down the other end of the field that maybe he had to. I reckon he's going to get some opportunities against Collingwood.
I reckon he might try and orchestrate the match-up at Darcy Moore himself.
What's your roughie?
I've got a roughie.
What's your
roughie? This doesn't happen very often.
That's why it's a roughie?
Well, this has happened three times in 15 years.
Oh, this is rough.
That's a roughie.
Yeah, okay.
I'll see your roughie and I'll raise
Yeah.
it. I had a look with you closely at the Melbourne defence last week.
Yep.
And I had a look at the Hawthorn forward line last week. And Ginnivan was terrific and Morey kicked some goals, but their tools are either out of form or just off the very, very best in the competition. I think the D's could keep the Hawks goalless to half-time.
Goalless? How often does it happen?
It'll be the third time for the Hawks in 15 years.
Right.
They've had one goal at half-time 5 times in 5 years. So would you give me goalless or would you give me one?
I'll give you one.
Give me
one.
It's happened 5 times in 5 years for the Hawks. I reckon it can happen this week because this other mob... I mean, you've got to compete with Gawn and the ruck to start with. Then you've got to get past Oliver, Petrarca and Viney. And if you do that, you run into the 2 brick walls of May and Lever. So having watched them again and seen Clayton in great form and healthy and looking terrific, and the Hawks worry me a little bit.
Yeah, okay.
I think we've talked them up a lot through the pre-season. Good performance last week. Couldn't quite get over the line against the Bombers, but this is a different weight range altogether. Where are you going?
Well, mine's not as rough as that, but I think there could be a boil over this weekend.
Boil over.
And I think if it is, it could be Richmond at the MCG against Port Adelaide. So they've got a good record. They beat them at the MCG 2 years ago, the Tigers, when they weren't going that well. They only lost by 10 points to Port Adelaide last year at the MCG when Richmond were going really ordinary, and that was through the middle of Port Adelaide's run. I was really impressed with Richmond's performance, and we don't know that they are a bottom 14 yet. We all think they are, we presume they are, but it's still too early in the season to make that decision. So maybe they just catch Port Adelaide on the hop and just find something and get Adam Muse's first win and cause an upset that nobody saw coming. That's just my little roughie.
I like it. And I tell you what, we're going to drive down the Western Highway. If Bevo's doing that on the way home,
I'm done.
We're going to go and meet him there. He's coming for you. See you again next week on Gimme Something.